Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Banking at Jovia Financial Credit Union, and we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview top business leaders in the industry. And today, I'm very excited. We have the pleasure of speaking with George Pickney Jr. He's the Senior Account Manager of Genesis Merchant Services. George is a seasoned business professional and in this arena, and Genesis' mission is to be the most professional, creative, and helpful private finance firm around. George, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on today.
It's good to see you, man. How you doing, man?
It's great to see you. Great to be here with you. So, for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, pretty much what I am is I'm a senior account manager. I do I reach out to businesses all over the country, securing financing, whether it be short-term financing, it could be long-term financing, whatever need. And when I mean by short-term, sometimes it can range between 3 to 16 months. Mm-hmm. Also, I do lines of credits, which more business owners are more comfortable with because it's monthly payments, but it's 12 months.
Sure.
And I also work with the Small Business Administration, where we also help them get 30-year terms with very, very low interest rates. So that's one of my main niches when it comes to that aspect of the business.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the nitty gritty of Genesis and everything. My role also is recruiting and team building as well, because I'm very big into investing into the future, not just the present.
Yeah, it's very important to pass on that knowledge to folks and to have them continue it, especially for something as vital as business funding. I mean, Main Street USA, that's, the lifeblood of the economy.
Yes.
And you need folks like us, out there kind of helping with what it is to get their daily cash flow going. Mm-hmm. So now, what made you decide to be involved specifically with Genesis?
With Genesis, I was originally an investor.
Okay.
I was originally invested with the owner, Andrew Stevens. I got into it. I didn't get into the business funding aspect. I got into more investing into his company. Mm-hmm. And it's a very quick story. First time I ever invested with him was a small $500. And he turned it into $6,000 within 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah. As time went on, we expanded. We kept pushing the envelope more. And then once COVID hit, he had a conversation with me. And he's like, listen, won't you really come with me full time? And I was like, you know what? With everything going on, the way everything's upside down, I always wanted to be a businessman. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to dress up, always wanted to have a nice car and walk into an office. I was like, you know what? This is God talking to me. Let's go. Yeah. And I've not looked back since, and I'm proud of it to this day.
Well, that's who you are.
Yes.
I mean, I'm here with you, and as you're speaking, I mean, that's who you are. So, mm-hmm. Which is awesome. Now, tell us a little bit about the scope of what Genesis offers. Because initially, when I saw Genesis Merchant Services, I'm like, oh, okay, that's credit card processing, mm-hmm. but it's a lot more, right?
No, we don't do credit card processing. We mostly focus on the business funding aspect.
Right.
That's our niche. Genesis stems from the beginning because the two gentlemen who started the business started it out of a two-door car.
Huh.
Yes. So they ran with the name Genesis and everything. The financial part is, of course, the analytic part where we have to review business bank statements, tax returns, all those things, because we're dealing with investors' money. We're not dealing with, just random people. These are people who worked hard that are willing to invest into your company. So that's the realm that we're in right now as well.
Yep.
So... Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that, so you and I have parallels, and you mentioned the fiduciary responsibility. You have investors that you want to make sure that, hey, we're doing the right thing with your money here. We're investing it in something that's going to grow. And, Jovia, we do it as a credit union for our membership, mm-hmm. But there are differences, certainly between banks and credit unions and also Genesis.
Lending companies.
Lending companies. So can you talk a little bit about what some of those differences are?
Now, I'm going to speak just upon our realm. The challenges that we face, I'm going to speak about the challenges.
Yeah.
Is people not getting what they want, or and not willing to accept what they qualify for.
Right.
We're now in a new time where, how do I word this? People aren't as lenient as they once were giving out money. If they are giving it out, they're giving it out at a very aggressive rate over a short amount of time. And that's something that comes into our, because we're in the middle. We're not the actual lender. We are the broker. So we're the ones making the phone calls, brokering out the deal, getting the offer, and then we go into the whole phase of offering it. So that's the phase we're in. As far as other industries, like when we talk, like I'm not really too familiar about your industry. So I haven't really gotten that deep into it. Far as the bankings, it's simple. You got to have a 700 credit score, and you got to have a real healthy business.
Correct.
Can't have no criminal backgrounds, no nothing like that. So
got to be around for 2 years.
Exactly. So that's the challenge. That's where we fill that void. We're pretty much a substitute. We're coming in to work with you. You understand? Yeah. And the thing about us, we don't like to just do business for the present. We like to do business for the future. Because yes, is the money a little more expensive? Absolutely. It's very, very true. But I always ask this question, how quickly can you turn what you're about to receive into an investment? How quickly is your return going to come back? 3 months, 6 months. Okay, so if I give you something to 12 months, how much you think you'll make back off of this? Oh, I'm probably making an additional 30, 40%. Okay, and the best part about what we do, it is a tax write-off.
There you go.
Yeah, so they can write off 33% of what they receive. So the interest that you just accrued, you're going to get it back in taxes anyway, if you have a good accountant, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, they do their magic.
Exactly. Yes. And trust me, we all got one.
And the goal obviously is, you're looking to help build them and build their business.
Yes.
Now, so are you looking to position them then so that they're more bankable?
Absolutely. That is the true goal for them, is to help improve their credit, help improve their cash flow, so you don't need to deal with us going forward. We don't want to keep you on this hamster wheel. The goal is for you to all of a sudden one day be like, you know what, George, my credit score is at a 710 now, 720. I've made investments with the money I receive. Now I'm ready to go sit down with my local bank, or even do long-term funding. Which can stretch out because we also do term loans as well, that can stretch out for 10 to 20 years. And those interest rates are in the single digits. Wow. And that's what everybody really wants at the end of the day. The challenge is, and not a problem, I say challenge, the challenge is the qualification. They don't qualify for it. So it takes time. So I like to draw plans, 6-month plans, 12-month plans. Listen, if you do this at this timeline, this is where I expect for you to be. If there's a hiccup, call and let me know, and we can make adjustments. It's one of the things about working with our company. We can make adjustments to the pay structure. That's something that most people don't do. They just offer it to you, and then that's it.
Got it. And you know what? To me, again, that's really it. You're helping the businesses become more financially successful and avoiding some of the pitfalls. And because I speak to people all the time that they have a great idea for a business, they have a great idea for expanding their business, but they're not necessarily going about it the right way. So when you're working with businesses, what are some of the common mistakes that you see them making?
Well, one of the more recent ones that we've been coming across is people having negatives. Negatives in their account. 1, 2, we can work with. 3, 4, we're raising an eyebrow. 5, 6, 7, 8, that's almost a week of you being in the red.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's really going to want to do business with you. So that's when, and then also things you might have done in the past. Have you defaulted on a loan? Have you missed payments? We're now in a time, especially in our industry, where these investors, they're putting a red stamp on your name off of one missed payment. And it might not affect you in the present, but it did affect you in the future. And these are conversations that we've been dealing with a lot of our new clients and everything. Like, did you do something last April? Yeah. And it's like, well, this just came up. Really? Yeah. Can you explain it? Where we can put a story behind it, where maybe we can get them to wiggle a little bit. So that's the challenge that we're coming across.
And that's really the key, because the thing is, you are dealing with human underwriters. So if you have a story for why, and it makes sense, and you can see that there's a recovery, okay, then it kind of makes sense. Things happen. Like I said, for a one-off, a two-off, but when there's a history there, and I do think that's one of the things that folks have a lot of trouble wrapping their head around. Well, that was 2 or 3 years ago. All right, but it shows, we're trying to understand the character of the borrower because we have a fiduciary responsibility to our investors and our members.
That's our name.
Yep.
That's our name.
We got to make sure we're doing the right thing. So, so what are some of the best practices that you kind of talk about with the businesses that come to you when they speak to you about financing? What are some of the best practices?
The best practices that I'm going to speak upon me, that I speak to them about is, what is your plan 3 to 6 months from now once you receive this money?
Where is
it
going?
Is it an investment? Is it working capital? Is it expansion? Let me know so I can be a part of it, because I am going to check up on you. I'm going to hold you to what you said. Mm-hmm. I'm very, very good at that. My first client I ever funded was a woman in Oregon, small little girl, started a body shop. First funding she took out was for about $35,000 to open up a paint shop, a paint booth, which increased her revenue by 40%. We just had a conversation 3 days ago. Her business now, and this is when I first started, first day I ever had, Ray, 3 years ago, her business is now worth $1.4 million.
All right. You see, that's
she stuck to the plan.
And that's really the key.
Yes.
And that's one of the great things during times like this where traditional lending is a little tougher. I know bankers, myself included, will look to the folks who have some creative financing. Because the thing is, when you're dealing with government programs and you're dealing with programs like that, the goal and the purpose is just to do lending and nothing else. So I do find that having those partners are so helpful. So appreciate what you do. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of National Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, and our guest today is George Pinkney. He is George Pinkney Jr. He is the Senior Account Manager of Genesis. So, George, I got to ask you, you can't do it all by yourself. You do a lot, I could tell, but everybody needs a team. Tell us a little bit about your team and what they do.
So, let's start with, well, right now we're a small firm. So the main two people are the co-founders. We have an underwriter, which is Gabriel Hernandez. He does majority of the underwriting. He goes deep into looking into the business bank statements, finding where there's holes, finding where there's other fundings, calculating how much is being pushed out weekly or even daily. He handles that aspect, as well as the closing aspect and everything. Andrew Stevens is his partner. He's the one who handles the closing. He's the one who gets to the bottom line with the deals. Like, let's figure out, can we get this done by this time? And that's that. Me, I handle the team building. I handle, of course, bringing in new clients. I also do the financial analyst part as well. I review, I have to put emails together. I have to okay, I sit and I do this. I mostly enjoy more of what I do, educating the next generation in business.
Well, yeah, and it's so great because when you're doing that, I find that it brings attention to the things that I'm doing. All right, well, you know what? Yeah, it's good that I'm sharing this because this is important to me, and I know I got to focus my energies on that. Also, it's great because I feel like it's a two-way street. The folks that I'm working with, the Gen Z folks, I have an intern, I have a service partner, and I've learned a lot from seeing how they operate and how they like to do business. And that's important because those are the people that I'm talking to now.
Absolutely.
And they're very different in their approach to business and what they want. So, kudos to you for focusing on that. I think it's extremely important. Helps both ways. So, I'm a big top 5 person because I can't help it. I'm one of those guys that I have to be very careful with clickbait because I see top 5 reasons to this or a top 5 tips about this. And that does hook me. And I know that I'm sure, have top 5 tips for businesses that you could speak on. What are the top 5 tips that you would give with regards to managing your cash flow?
Managing?
Yeah.
First things first is discipline.
Agreed.
Discipline. Second, structure. Third, forward planning. Fourth, having the right people believe in it. And fifth is execution.
Perfect. I love it.
Yes.
And that is so correct. To me, it's like, well, yes, those are the things that you have to get right. And you know what? You can put together a perfect plan, but then if you don't pull the trigger, well, why'd you do all that? If you don't have anybody believing in this, all right. So, and I do think the only other thing I would add there is that you got to believe in it yourself.
Absolutely.
Like without shaking. It's, you've got to have that self-image of the business, right?
One of the things that I say to not just my interns, even my partners, we must stick to the plan during good times, bad times, and confusing times. Simple. It's going to shake. You got to stand fast.
Yeah.
Especially in our line of business, good is no longer acceptable anymore. You have to strive to be great. Because there's another one of me coming through the door who's more innovating, who just has that it factor. You got to compete.
There's a great book, Perennial Selling, Ryan Holiday, Stoic philosopher. So perennial selling, what he talks about there is that it's not good enough to be just slightly better than something else. Like if you have an app that's awesome, but there's another app that does it that's more well-known and more well-marketed, and it's the 800-pound gorilla. If yours is just slightly better, nobody's going to adopt it.
Agree.
It could do something else that's wonderful, but if it's just slightly better, it has to be amazingly better. It has to be noticeably, hugely better. So I think that's very sage advice. So what are the accomplishments that you're most proud of? I'm sure you have plenty of stories where you've worked with businesses. You mentioned one or two, but I know that's what keeps me going. That's what gets me excited about working. Every day is different. You're walking into a different business. You're walking into different situations.
Every day is different.
So it's something that that's what keeps me going is those stories. So share with us some stories, success stories of businesses that you've worked with.
Well, first things first is the first one.
Yeah.
That I dealt with. Nova.
Always remember the first.
Yes. Nova is not even just a client no more. She's an actual friend. Like she's always saying, when are you going to come up to Oregon and have dinner with me and my husband? And I'm like, I'm going to make the time. Yeah, I'm definitely going to make the time. One of my biggest accomplishments since I've been doing is being able to start my own business. That's truly what I'm really most proud of. I have a business within their business, which helps with the team building. It's opening the doors for me in more ways than one. And I'm more proud of that because I was able to use the Genesis platform to create something of my own that's now also going in its own direction as well, which is the business team building, which is public speaking, which is merchandising and advertising. So I'm now being pulled in different ways now than more than before. And far as back to your original question, the businesses, there is one that I'm most proud of. It was a gentleman in Virginia. He runs I think it was the biggest deal I've ever funded. It was like $250,000. And it really meant a lot to me because he said, listen, I'm just taking a chance with you. And I was like, listen, that's all I needed. And still to this day, we talk. We're really good. I'm really good friends. I actually flew down to meet him before. Yeah, and it was a great time. And he was like, listen, what you did, you came through. Your word was bond. You weren't trying to sell me. You were letting me know everything through the process. You didn't hold nothing back, and that's the reason why I did business with you. That means more to me than any amount of any other deals, is that gratification. Yeah. That holds value to me.
Well, that's the thing. It's truly relationship building. Those relationships, and you can't build the relationships from a selfish place. You have to build it from, like, honestly, my approach when I work with someone is, who are you and how can I help you? What resource can I give you that's helpful for you? And that's what I worry about. I worry about just that person in front of me when I'm speaking with them. I try to tune out all the other noise. None of that matters. What does George need? What can I do to be helpful to George? And then what happens is you do build a relationship over time, and you can't force it. You can't make a sale happen specifically. If you push it, sure, you might make it happen, but is it going to be a lasting thing? Is it going to be a relationship? Is it going to be a one-off? Like, I'd rather just have the relationship with the person and get that business organically. And it does come around, and you never know. I mean, I've been in this business, I've been for Jovia 15 years now.
Okay.
And, over the 15 years, there are some businesses that have come to me after a couple of months, a couple of years. decade later. You can't.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but okay.
But you will. That's the thing. And I can tell by the kind of person you are. I would like you to talk a little bit more about your business within the business, because I find that very intriguing.
Okay.
And I think it's wonderful that you're working with a business that is
very
supportive of that.
Very supportive.
And it makes sense because it's supportive of their goals as well.
Yes.
So it's tell us a little more about that.
So my business is called The Evolution of S&G. Mm-hmm. It was created in 2021. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, was it 2020? 20 or 21, one of those.
The little thing called the pandemic kind of messes up people's time.
No, I created it right after. I patented the whole 9 yards, and to this day, now I'm working on a website that's going to have the ability to because I used to give interns T-shirts when they fund the deal, and it was only specifically for them. Wow. My first year, I thrived, not survived. That was the saying. The second year was we dominate, not hesitate. This year, we will be legendary, not ordinary.
I love it.
Yes. So that's one of the things that I've been able to do, and I'm so proud of it. Like now the business is taking on a mind of its own. I'm getting so many opportunities to work with other people. Even other companies are like, hey, can we sit down? Can we talk? Is there a chance maybe you can help us with our business team? And I'm like, wow, this is evolution at its finest, because I'm big into that. I'm very big into constantly evolving. I look at life like a flowing river. You can drink from that, but you can't drink from a pond, because Lord knows what's in a pond, because the water doesn't go anywhere. Exactly. And that's the thing about the evolution of S&G. Now, the meaning of evolution is, of course, evolution means growth and opportunity and keep evolving. The S stands for silent. The G stands for George. Yes. I was going through challenging times working at Genesis, and I was working from home a lot. I said, I became silent. The only time I would talk to my business partners is when I had opportunities. I got really locked in and dark. And when I became silent and I finally came out, I became a whole new person. I evolved. Yeah. And then I started to say, okay, George, how can you impact what you're doing even more? And what really touches me to this day is the fact that I was able to change young people's lives. My first intern, I helped him take control of his family company, increase their revenue by 30% before he graduated college. They signed over the company to him. Wow. My last intern, she was working with me for 11 months. First female I ever had. She works as a financial analyst for the homeless in New York City in the mayor's office, making $85,000 a year.
Wow.
That's
life-changing.
Like, I impacted, and I'm striving for the next, and that's what evolution's all about. It's all about continuously growing, putting the next, because these people are linked to me forever.
Yeah.
I can always call them if they need me or I need them, and that's what I tell interns. All I need you to do is fund one deal. Mm-hmm. One deal. And I will open all types of doors. And I'm proud of that. Now, today I have an outside ESG team, one that handles my editing for my Instagram videos. I have another one who's creating my website. I also have a woman who created my whole logo and everything else. And she does designing for everything I have going forward. So that's what I'm really proud of when it comes to the evolution of S&G.
It definitely is something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is George Pinckney Jr., Senior Account Manager of Genesis. My name is Ray Schwetz, on the voice of National Community College, 90.3 WHPC. So for the layperson, somebody outside just kind of looking in, what would you tell them that you do? Like, what would be the elevator speech you would give somebody who doesn't know what you do? You're at a barbecue and they ask you.
Financing.
Mm-hmm.
First things first is I do financing. That's my first thing I lead off with is I do financing. Then they say, oh, well, really? Well, what do you do in financing? I help fund small businesses. Really? We also do startup capital as well. Forgot to mention that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes. That's a game changer.
Yeah.
Then I also let them know I do team building. I'm getting into the sales part of marketing my own product line. So, that's...
Are there other things that you're looking to do, like in terms of partnership? I know a lot of the ways that sometimes folks will expand what they're doing. They'll partner with networking groups or with other agencies like the Small Business Development Center, SBA, Can you talk a little bit about some of your, your efforts there? Is that something that you're interested in?
I'm definitely getting ready to transition into that.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to the conversation me and you had earlier. Expansion leads to exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I can no longer hide in the dark, especially now with not only what I do with Genesis, but even what I do with ESG. It's attracting a different type of audience.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it definitely, and I'm like, okay, George, but we can't spread ourselves too thin.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make sure it makes sense for me. I say this all the time to my interns: get comfortable being uncomfortable in business.
Oh yeah. There is no. People ask me about comfort zone. I'm like, I don't think I have one anymore.
No, and we're both in the business world. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You just hopefully you got a good harness to hold you in, because you can get lost in doing this. So to people who ask that question, sometimes they're like, "Wow, this is amazing," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you got to stay centered. You got to have the right support group of people around you, because you are going to deal with some tough times, and that's what defines me and my Genesis team and my ESG team. I need to see how you guys are going to handle tough times with me. Good times are great.
Yeah.
How do we handle tough times?
Well, you know what? If you're like Bruce Lee says, you be like water.
Ooh.
It's like that river, right? You're flowing through. Yes, the river keeps flowing, but there are some rocks in the water.
Yes,
and you do find the ways to get around them, and it's very important to have that support.
Mm-hmm.
So what is next for you as someone who's very forward thinking? What is it that you're looking to do? Who is it that you're looking to get in front of? Because I want to make sure that our listener understands that.
The first goal for Genesis, I'm going to speak on Genesis first,
mm-hmm.
to get in more interns.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I'm doing that is, of course, doing radio. I'm going to be doing a speaking event in front of a few students at this college in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm going to get ahead of the whole summer process. Also, I'm doing job fairs as well, because I like to work with the next generation, the future of business. I am the present. I know what I can do. I know what my kind of age group is going to be like. I want to work on someone who's they're like Plato. They don't know. They're just, so when they get in, that's my plan when it comes to Genesis, is continuously what I've been doing and now taking it to the next level, where it's like, wow, when we walk in, we now have a team of people who can do multiple tasks. So that's my goal with Genesis. My goal with the evolution of S&G is to continue to dominate and execute my plans, not just with me, but the people who are with me.
Excellent. I love it.
Yes, that is the number one goal. That's all. And they gave me one specific goal, because we have meetings every 2 weeks. And I say, what do you need me to do? They said, George, keep funding deals, keep putting yourself in front of new faces. We will handle our role.
George, where can people find you when they're looking for you?
GenesisMerchantServices.com. If you're looking for funding, if you're looking for a part-time or a temporary opportunity, or even an internship, we are the place to be.
Thank you so much, George. Before we go, I would like to leave you with DB's philosophy. I had a quote here from Dharmesh Shah, and I will give it. Success is making those who believed in you look brilliant. But I'm also going to add a quote that you said that I happen to love a lot. Legendary, not ordinary. Mm-hmm. I leave you with that. We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, your co-host and producers. Visit nccradio.org for more information. We are available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeartRadio as a podcast, in iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Speaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nest Community College, 90.3 WHPC.